Hey, Happy New Year. It's Felice, totally awake, and I'm back with another video. So, I have been working on my movie review for the movie Apostasy. It's on Amazon Prime. Again, if you have not checked that out, please go check that out because I will still be doing my movie review. And I encourage and challenge any other activists to do a movie review as well because, it kind of just um, gets the way Jehovah's Witnesses are out there to more people, and it's fun. It's fun doing a movie review. I actually started the movie review, but um, I have all my notes that I want to take and what I want to say on it. But it's actually like it's already like 12 minutes long, and I'm only on like the first page of like 6 pages worth of notes. So yeah, might gotta see how I'm gonna shorten that. But anyway, sorry about that lighting issue. I don't know if I'm going to re-record this. Probably not. So let's just get on with it. Okay, let's work light. All right. Okay. Anyway, so I really wanted to talk about because one of my viewers reached out to me, and they were saying that they were one of the ones that was baptized in a kiddie pool, or in a pool recently, since the pandemic started. And this person went on to say that you know they had been trying to teach some of their Bible students about the 144,000 teaching and how, um, only the Jehovah's Witnesses are supposed to partake. So they they couldn't find a lot of answers on that particular subject, and I was able to respond, and that's because it's not biblical. They were saying they didn't really feel comfortable explaining it because they didn't understand it. And I just basically told them because it's not biblical, so you're not going to understand it. And it's funny because that was one of my hangups when I was waking up. The 144,000, we had been taught that at this memorial that we have every year when we are observing Jesus's death. Okay, not the fact that he rose again, but his death. And only the 144,000 are partaking of the bread and the wine. However, the Bible says for all to come and eat and drink. That's Jesus wanted everybody to partake of the bread and wine. So yeah, it's not a biblical teaching that the Jehovah's Witnesses have, where they are basically rejecting the the body and blood of Christ by passing around a plate of bread and some a glass of wine, and nobody's really drinking it. All but 144,000, which we don't know how many. They got their numbers, but they all mixed up, and that's what we gonna talk about today. Okay. So, questions you should be asking yourself when you're trying to wake up, when you're trying to leave the Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay. Now, the number one question I would say, um, and you want to ask yourself these questions when you start to have doubts. This person went on to ask, what else should I be questioning? Because it seems like, not really fair, or not really. I was trying to find the exact comment. I can't find it, you guys, which kind of made me get off track. But I they're asking what other questions they should be asking, because it didn't really seem fair that they leave their organization just because they don't agree with one teaching. And they revealed that they were only 15 watching. So then it made all the sense. But even if they weren't 15, um, people having doubts and maybe starting to wake up a little bit, maybe they don't know. They are lost. They don't know what to question. So I'm gonna help you out with that today, all right? Okay. So I've gathered maybe about 10, 11, 12, 13 questions. So yeah, just hear them out. So the first question you want to ask yourself is, when did my religion begin? Because I can tell you, just by my own research, that it began in the late 1800s. But that's something that you're going to want to find out for yourself. Okay. You're going to want to Google search that. Okay. And number two, who is the founder of my religion? I can tell you that it was Charles Taze Russell. But again, you might want to Google search that. And the funny thing is, when I was an active Jehovah's Witness, which I've disassociated myself now, when I was an active Jehovah's Witness, when I was growing up, I never would have known. I never would have known who was the founder of the Jehovah's Witnesses. It wasn't until I started to do objective research that I searched the founder of the Jehovah's Witnesses and found that it was Charles Taze Russell. So you may want to go ahead and Google search that as well. And number three, what was he like? You want to find out what type of leader he was, I may be able to tell you some of the things that I've read about him, you know, um, just seem kind of delusional to me, and predicting stuff that didn't happen. I've read some things about him being a womanizer, but allegedly. Hey, but that's just some of the things that I may have been able to dig up on him. I'm sure we can dig up even more than that. But you want to find out about the founder. You want to do your own research. Number four, then you want to start thinking about who is leading me now. Who is leading me now? You know, I can probably sit up here and name your governing body members. Anthony Morris, Samuel Hurd, Stephen Lett. You know, I could probably name some of those members for you. And again, when I was in the religion, I would have never known, we didn't have these JW broadcasting and all of this stuff that, we have now, the Jehovah's Witnesses. We didn't have that stuff. Um, I literally thought, like my mama said, the magazines was coming from God. The Watchtower and the Wake magazines, that they were coming from God. I thought that Jesus was directing us. So even though I would ask questions, I did not know who the leaders were, and I definitely wouldn't have known the faces and the names like how we have them now. But this is actually something that you can look up, who these leaders are, 7, 8 leaders. Okay. And then, you might want to start finding out what they are like, you know, because I can sit up here, and tell you some of the things I found out about them since knowing that they even freaking exist. Um, and just seeing their faces. Oh my God, this is like really not gonna cut back on. Come on, don't do this. Don't do this. Okay. Um. Okay. So I can tell you, that some of them, like Tony Morris, are drunks. You know, he was caught in the liquor store buying all that liquor. So I can tell you that your leader is a drunk, but then you might want to go Google search that, go fact check that, go find all those videos online circulating of your leader in the liquor store buying over $1,000. I think it was over $1,200 worth of liquor. I mean, I could tell you that, but you might want to go. You might want to go find that out for yourself. Oh, thanks y'all for bearing with me. Oh, man, this is awful. This is really awful. Okay, so yeah, they drunks. I can tell you. Cut that water off, girl. I could tell you. No, the baby don't need any of that. Just come on out. I'm sorry. Okay. I could tell you about them. I could tell you, some of the documentaries that I may have seen and have heard about, you know, Stephen Lett. I believe it was the Witnesses documentary. And the girl speaks of how her father was actually friends. I believe she said that he had brought her family into the truth, okay? And when there were allegations, or when they heard that, you know, this young lady was being sexually abused as a kid, I believe her father wrote a letter to him and everything explaining what happened. And he just was not very supportive. Um, he, even though he was in a position to maybe try to, I don't know. Because I guess all the homeboys, they got this two witness rule, and that's just another thing we're going to get into. I'm sorry, I just went off into a tangent, but I was just going to say they're not good friends. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know, because that just goes to show that somebody that you brought into the so-called truth, you wasn't even there for them at a tragic time. In your position, you didn't even try to make them, they did not feel comforted by you, and you have this position that you have, and then you brought them into this. So yeah, I'm not gonna speak too much more on that though, because I gotta I gotta go back and watch that and see what exactly happened. But yeah, but again, don't take my word for it. Research, see what I'm talking about. It's on the witnesses. um it's one of the last stories. I'll definitely put it in the description, some more details on what I'm talking about when I find it. Okay, let's go on to number 6. Has my religion's doctrine changed over time? So you wanna find out about the shunning policies. Did they always shun people, or was it
Hi
something that
guys.
started? Don't get all the way in the camera. You don't have no shirt, boy.
Hi guys.
Tell them to think for yourself. Do your research.
Think for yourself. Do your research. I just got done from basketball practice and track practice, so I can't really,
Okay. All right. So thank you. So has my religion's doctrine changed over time? So the shunning, is that something that they've always done? Or is it something that started in the 1950s after they bashed the Catholics for shunning? Basically saying that that was ridiculous of them to be shunning people, and then they go and do the same thing. But you might want to find that out for yourself, because it may be a surprise to you, the shunning, and rather or not it was always a practice in your religion, or the blood doctrine. You might want to find out about that. Did Jehovah always want you to abstain from blood? Or was there a time when he didn't mind? Or was there a time where he wanted you to abstain from blood completely, and then he changed his mind and said, you know what, you can go ahead and take blood parts? Because I remember those changes being a child, and I remember the oohs and the ahs. And I remember some people still feeling like, I'm not doing it. I don't think my conscience is going to allow me to do that. So they still holding on to this old perspective of the organization, which is to abstain from blood. So even when that changed, some people still was so strict, and still now to this day are so strict on that scripture, abstain from blood. So you might want to find out more about that. I know that's one that's really important to me, being that my daughter had to have several blood transfusions when she was born. She was born not breathing, and I've told this story several times on my channel, and I'm going to continue to tell it because it's what helped. It shook me. It helped me to really wake up and realize that had I been in the mindset of thinking that it would have been wrong for the doctors to go ahead and give her the life-saving treatments that she needed, I mean, I could have really allowed that to haunt me. So I really get hung up on the blood doctrine. That's really a trigger for me. So also worshiping Jesus, you might want to find out, has your religion always just worshiped Jehovah, or was Jesus included in that worship once before too? you know um Oral sex, even within the marriage bed, you might want to find out um what was the rules on that, you know because they changed those rules too. So, and they really sitting up here trying to tell people what to do in their bed. You might want to find out about the 1914 generation teaching, and I'm gonna get into that in the next point. But also, and celebrations and birthdays, you might want to find out, did Jehovah's Witnesses always not celebrate and participate in birthday celebrations and Christmas and things of that sort. And then brings me to my next number 7. Does my religion have any failed predictions? Well, I could tell you, right off the bat, 1914, and they must really love this number because there's a lot of foolishness going on with 1914, okay? I can sit up here and tell you that, during my awakening, I learned that 1914 was first the date they said the end would come. Then they turned around and said that it was the beginning of the end of the system of things. They said that's when the last days began. And then they said in 1925 that the world would end. They published a book, Millions Living Now Will Never Die. You know, find out about that. Beth Serene. Beth Serene, where I believe they said Isaac, Moses, and Jacob would live in a house of princes that they had built. This nice house in California is still there. And I remember when I was waking up, I tried to share this with my aunt, and she was just like, some stuff I just can't believe. And yeah, I can't believe it either. But I didn't want to believe it. But if somebody came to me and presented the facts, then it's just like, okay, I kind of got to believe this, because I would be dumb not to look into it. Like, yeah, this sounds crazy, but if this is true, I need to find out what else is going on. You know what I mean? What else is absurd and crazy and ridiculous like this? Because this is a failed prediction. They said that these princes would be resurrected and be able to live in this house. Well, that was in the 1920s. We in the 20s again. We in 2021. So you might want to do some research on that. That's a real true story. Beth Serene. Okay. So then, you know, um, Watchtower's just been live for generations, so just do some research and you'll find out. Okay. Number 8. Are the doctrines biblical? You might want to ask yourself, are the doctrines biblical? For example, the 144,000 only partaking of the bread and the wine. When Jesus said, all to come eat and drink of the wine as my blood, bread as my flesh. Yes, he said to abstain from blood, but you haven't. Blood is in your mother's breast milk. It's in the chicken you eat, the eggs, and the medium steak you order. Okay, so yeah, if you're gonna do all that stuff, you might want to do some deep research on, the blood doctrine and what it really means to you. Because if it's okay for us to eat all of these things, um, and for Jesus to, allow ones in the Bible to save an animal on the Sabbath, then I think he wouldn't mind if we save some lives around here. Okay, so you might just want to ask yourself and question yourself about that. Okay, and all right, again, are the doctrines biblical? Your appearance, men, they're supposed to be clean shaven. You can't have any beards or anything like that. Females always have to make sure they aren't offending anyone with their dress. No tight fitting, short wearing, or cleavage showing. No wild hair colors. You can't have no fun, okay, with your hair. No colors, no fun colors, nothing like that. No uh beards. I'm sorry, no braids or locks or long hair for guys, which is just born. Everybody walking around with the same clean cut, looking the same, But is it biblical? Is it biblical? Because people in the Bible have long hair, you know. So, and then you want to ask yourself, is this fellowship in biblical? Because Jesus didn't shun anyone. If we look in our Bible, we can't find that Jesus shunned anyone, you know? And then you want to ask yourself, number 9, how does my religion handle sexual child abuse? And this is not a question that will just automatically flow, possibly, when you start to look up stuff. It might do start to flow. It might do start to pop up at you. But in case it don't start to pop right up at you, I'm going to just go ahead and give you your heads up because this is something that you definitely want to know, and all of these questions you owe to yourself. You owe yourself to know what you are into and what you've dedicated your life to. you know? So, how does my religion handle sexual child abuse? Because, I could tell you, um, you know, because maybe you haven't never heard of the two witness rule, but you've certainly heard that we never want to bring reproach on Jehovah's name, right? You've definitely heard that. So by knowing that you heard that, I know you can believe that there is a such thing called a two witness rule. That's right. They need two witnesses before they do anything about an accusation of sexual child abuse. And even then, sometimes they're still not doing anything. They're not going to the police. They're not calling the proper authorities. These cases are being pushed up under the rug, perhaps because there was no confession and no other witness. So, nobody professional is handling these cases. Somebody that actually, took the training out to investigate and be able to question these types of crimes. And, you know, um, they're just they're out of control. They're paying out millions of dollars in court cases. And yeah, you will find all about their court cases and the millions of dollars of payouts and all the victim stories. Oh my gosh, every time I hear them, I'm in tears because it's just so sad to me that this is happening, and it's still a standing so-called religion that's allowing kids to be continuously molested. Okay. But that whole thing is very disturbing. You want to do as much research as you can on that. You know, you want to find out how, um, your leaders said it would be presumptuous if God was leading the Jehovah's Witnesses to think that they were the only true channel. Okay, and then you just want to ask yourself, do you agree with the doctrines, the changes, the scandals? Does God agree with all of this? Is God changing his mind? Like really, what's going on? Okay. So you just really you got to ask yourself these questions. And these are just a few questions, and the list goes on because there's an overwhelming amount of information that starts to come out once you start to wake up. So you want to receive it all. You want to be able to process it. You want to prepare yourself. You want to go to www.jwfacts.com. You want to search on YouTube, Exjw, and just look at all the videos that you can of people's stories of coming out and the activists that continuously make videos. You want to just watch as much stuff, that interests you, that's going to help you to be on that road of being able to open your eyes and see that you have been misled, bamboozled, whatever you want to call it. Okay, you've been lied to. So that's all I want to say for now. I know we had some little interruptions, but hey, it's just my family. And I may not ever make a video if I don't just make something like this sometimes with the noise in the background. So stay tuned for some more, and I'm going to catch y'all later. Like, share, subscribe, comment.
Remember, truth holds up the scrutiny.
Yes, truth holds up the scrutiny.
You got that.